Hi there, this is Shauna from the Foil Fox, and I am here on Paper Tray Ink's YouTube channel, and I'm sharing with you Thank You Florals, a brand new stamp set. So let's get acquainted with it. It has these wonderful flowers that are in a cluster, or there's some that are separate, and of course some leaves and some stems that go along with it, and some lots of really nice sentiments. And then of course it has the matching die set to cut out all these goodies. And then I'm also going to be using this skinny rectangle frame. And I'm going to be using the skinny postage frames. I'm going to be using that middle one right there. And then another new item that is in this release is spring greetings. And I'm going to use one of these greetings. These are great greetings. There's so many of them. And then I'm going to borrow from Concord & Ninth a thin plaid die. Then for the papers, they're very simple. I'm going to be using cold pressed paper. This is an A2 panel. I'm going to be cut into an A2 panel. I have this is 80 pound. I wanted a little bit lighter weight for the flowers. And then I have a little bit heavier for 110 for my frames and for my card base. So to get started, I'm going to take these frames. These are those postage frame, the skinny rectangle, and then this plaid one. And I'm going to cut those out. And at the same time, while I'm cutting, I'm going to set aside the cold press panel for right now, and I'm going to cut out all of these pieces because I like to put them in my stamp positioner and then stamp them from there. You can do that the other way around where stamp them and then cut them, but this works best for me. So here is my frame, my postage frame, the lattice, and then the skinny frame. I'm going to set that aside. We're going to work on the flowers right now. I have them all mounted up in my stamp positioner in the right positions. And I'm going to start out with some stems. I'm going to actually do more than these two I cut out a few more than the two that are in this die. And I'm using New Leaf and Pine Feather, which are Paper Tray Ink inks. And I just got a Post-it note kind of masking those other stamps. Got to make sure you peel that off so you don't stamp the ink on the postage, on the Post-it note. And then so you can see I did a few others before I pulled them out. I've done a few others before. I'm going to take off those stamps, and now I'm going to be using a Copic friendly ink. This one happens to be Memento Tuxedo Black, but you can use anything that is suitable for an alcohol marker. And I'm going to just stamp those nice and black. And I haven't colored with my Copic markers in just ages. You can use any alcohol marker. I could have stamped these on watercolor paper and then watercolored them, or you can use colored pencil. Almost any media you have will work. I'm starting out with R01 with the light color, then I'll go with R20. And then I just work my way this one's R22. And I'm just doing a really fast, really kind of open kind of coloring. I'm adding the RV04 as just a splash of a darker color. And I don't want to color them all, I want to have some variation of color because flowers have reflections of light, but also they're not all exactly the same color. So I want to make them kind of interesting. So I color them with those colors, and then I'm going to go back with the light one and just kind of go over it and blend everything out. So I'm using the 4 colors of the pinks, and then I'm going to go to the greens, and these greens I'm using 4 colors as well. And I'm going from light to dark. I think that the YG03 is the lightest. And then some of them I'm going to make kind of more blue, and that has a bluish green look to it, and some that have a darker green. And then, of course, I have a darker green marker to go into where it's shaded and into the kind of the veining. See, this is a little bit more bluish. But you can color them any way that you'd like. I have a tendency to go more traditional, and these are the colors. Plus, it's spring, and this just kind of works. Of course, this is a spring bouquet. I realize that in some places you're not feeling very much like spring, but we definitely are here. So I'm just shading those with that darkest color. I'm just doing really quick coloring of this. It does not take long at all. And like I say, you can use any kind of medium that you would like. I like to add a little bit of yellow to the tips of some of my leaves. So I just took a marker and used a little bit of yellow. And that finishes all my coloring. So it's just a quick, easy job to just zip over it. And I love that it gives it really bright, vibrant flowers. Now I'm going to set those all aside, and I'm going to use my cold press panel. And I'm going to use some Brusho dry crystal inks. These are watercolor. They are in a crystal form. I've put lots of water on my panel, and I just sprinkle it on. And then the water just kind of creates this kind of magic. I like that you get these little bursts of color. I'm going to also spritz it here, and it's going to diffuse a lot of this color. It's also extremely vibrant. So I like that too, because sometimes I don't get as vibrant as a color I'd like it. I know that if I use these Brusho dry crystal watercolor, that I will get a very vibrant color. And I do like all those little different bursts. Now, some of it you're not going to see because it's going to get covered up, but I think it's a little bit more interesting than just blending on some ink. Now, I went ahead and I dried this and I trimmed it to an A2 size. And I'm taking some glue and I'm going to glue it to my A2 card base, which is that white card base. I'm going to spread this into the corners to make sure I can stick it down on the edges really well. Now I like to cut my paper so that I can make an easel type opening to my card base. So it has a fold at the top. And now I'm going to take these frames and I'm going to put some foam tape around the edges of them. And I have these really skinny strips. You can buy skinny strips, but this is what I do because I don't have all the different sizes. I find it easier just to trim a regular size piece of foam tape. And it's easy to do with that trimmer. You can see how fast that was. And I'm going to just put it on all four sides. And then peel this off. Peel off the release. And then I'm going to take the lattice and I'm going to just position it over the top, and that foam tape is going to allow that to stick. And now that this lattice is a little bit larger than the frame, so I am just using my scissors, and you can, because it's on foam and it's kind of at a different level, you can easily trim that off and not bother the frame at all. So there it is, all trimmed off. And I missed a little piece, so I've got to trim that off. And now I'm going to just put little dabs of glue because a lot of this foam tape is still there, but I want it to really stick, so I'm just adding some little dots of glue just to make sure it sticks down. There, I'm going to position that down. The glue is allowing me just a few seconds of wiggle room there. And then I'm going to take this smaller one, which I have foam tape on the back of that too. And I've made a panel that just fits on the back of that. White cardstock panel. You can choose any weight that you like. And I've peeled off the foam tape. And I'm just going to lay that right over top on the back side. And let's put some glue on that. I'm going to smooth that out, and we're going to put that right in the center. We're just moving right along on this card. And next, I'm going to be able to arrange my flowers. And I have foam tape on the back of my flowers. And I have my stems here. And I am just going to arrange those at the bottom. I used 3 here. I had 4. Maybe should have used 4, but I used 3. But you can use as many as you want. You can put a whole bunch there if you'd like. And I am just going to kind of just arrange these just the way I think I want to have them. I'm putting some flowers on top that I have foam tape on so that I can give a little bit of dimension, so it looks like the bouquet is just kind of bursting off the card front. And now that I have a good idea where that's all going to go, I'm just going to take the peel off the foam tape and start sticking this all down. I already have tape runner on, the little micro dot tape runner on my stems, so they're sticking down already all by themselves. And I've just arranged these, and I'm just sticking these down in place. Next, there's a few dots in this set, and I'm going to put some black dots. There's one that's a group of 3, and then there's a larger one and a smaller one. I'm going to use all 3, and I'm using some VersaFine black ink because I like to use it. It's very black, gives you a big intensity, and I am going to stamp some of them right on top of the flowers too. I really like it's a subtle detail, but I do like the way that looks. And I'm not going to put all of these down. I'm going to put some of these down now, and then I will come back to it after I make the tag that will be for my sentiment. So I think now I'm going to go on to my tag. I've got this skinny piece of cardstock, and I've got all these different sentiments, and I'm trying to decide. I think I will do Spring Has Sprung, but I want a little bit of yellow on this, and I just wanted it here and there. So I have a baby wipe, and I'm just using my bright buttercup yellow ink and kind of dotting it on there. And now I'm using my VersaFine black onyx again and stamping the sentiment. And I'm going to stamp it down a little bit from the top because I'm going to trim this back. You can see how I trim this. I trim the sides all the way around to be really close, and then kind of a pointed top so that it fits in perfectly and looks kind of like a tag. Put a little foam tape on there, and we're nearly done. I always have to fuss a little bit just to get it just right, so we're going to tuck this in. And then I'm going to go back to my dots, and I'm just going to finish them off and just add a few more. And some of them on top of the flowers, and some of them right there. Some of them just on the background. So there it is. It's all finished, and I think it's a great opening for spring. It just gives you a really bright and cheery look, ready to send to anyone. And then here are a few items that I'm using. I'm using Thank You Florals stamp and die set, and then the Spring Greetings stamp set. Then I use the postage frames and then this skinny rectangle frame. You can check out all of the supplies and more close-ups on papertrayink.com, or you can pop over to foilfox.com, where we have a complete supply list and everything there that we use. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.